Moment Ukraine ambushes Russian troops and obliterates entire huge convoy. Ukrainian forces wiped out an entire Russian military convoy, destroying a significant number of artillery weapons and causing havoc among Russian troops. Ukraine has continued to devastate Russian troops on the front line as Kyiv's counter-offensive continues. An extraordinary video captured by the Ukrainian military and shared on social media shows Kyiv's forces taking out an entire Russian military convoy. The attack took place near Okeretovate, Zaporizhia Oblast in southeast Ukraine, where heavy fighting is ongoing. The video shows Ukraine unleashing guided multiple launch rockets on a Russian-towed artillery convoy. The Russian military convoy appears like sitting ducks as they are left helpless to counter the ambush. The Ukrainian missiles blew up an MTLB, a Russian tank, as well as around 6 trucks which appear to be each towing an artillery weapon. The attack sparked panic among the Russian troops on the ground, with many of the vehicles destroyed or on fire. This latest ambush comes as Zaporizhia Governor Yuri Malashka said that there were 45 Russian air and artillery attacks between Friday and Saturday. Ukraine uses drones to adjust artillery fire, and they destroy an entire convoy of supply trucks and towed Russian artillery. Ukraine also confirmed that they had downed 10 Russian drones across the country on Friday and overnight. Meanwhile, the British Ministry of Defense has warned that Russia's military leadership is likely to face an increasing problem in being directly criticized by subordinate. In its latest intelligence briefing, the MOD discussed the sacking of Russia's Major General Ivan Popov. General Popov was dismissed after he ripped into the Russian top brass in a leaked video intended for his troops. The commander of the 58th Combined Arms Army, which is fighting near Zaporizhia, said the Russian Defense Ministry leadership was hitting us from the rear, viciously beheading the army at the most difficult and intense moment. Beleaguered Russian soldiers in Ukraine are so far countering pretty much everything Kyiv's attacking troops have to offer, according to an American Special Operations veteran who since 2022 has been training Ukrainian units to root out Moscow's invasion forces. Eric Kramer, the director and co-founder of the Kyiv-based Ukraine Defense Support Group, spoke to Newsweek from the Ukrainian capital, where he and his team of ex-military volunteers are now preparing to instruct a new batch of Ukrainian troops destined for the front. Ukrainian forces are now on the offensive at multiple points along the 800-mile front, probing for weaknesses in the Russian lines they hope might be the key to another major defeat for Moscow. But Kramer, who served for 26 years in locations including Afghanistan, Bosnia, Congo, Iraq, and Kosovo, said Kyiv's troops face a daunting task. A monitor from a drone shows a destroyed Russian tank during a surveillance flight on July 19, 2023 near Bakhmut in the Donetsk region of Ukraine. Ukrainian forces have gone on the counterattack, but Russian defenders are proving dogged. Right now, it looks like the counteroffensive is piecemeal, he added. It looks like they're probing to see where there's weakness in the lines. And what I think the plan is that, once they find some holes, they'll try to exploit them. Such an approach is likely to deliver a couple of breakthroughs, Kramer said, but not necessarily the kind of large-scale defeat of Russian forces as occurred north of Kyiv, in Kharkiv, and in Kherson in 2022. President Volodymyr Zelensky is among the Ukrainian figures to have admitted that the counteroffensive is progressing slower than desired, though he and others have urged patience. Since the operation began in early June, Kyiv has claimed to have freed 8 settlements and more than 80 square miles of territory. The Russian defenders have proved dogged, even amid reports of severe supply constraints due to Ukrainian deep strikes and persistent morale and corruption issues within the military structure. Russia's full-scale invasion has been punctuated with battlefield surprises. Ukraine's heroic spring 2022 defense surprised many foreign observers, as did Moscow's inability to prosecute a modern war. Likewise, Kyiv's lightning offensive in Kharkiv in fall 2022 confounded those who were waiting for the hammer to fall on Kherson. More recently, Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin's short-lived coup was an unexpected destabilizing factor for the Kremlin. Some notable concrete lessons are emerging from the full-scale war, now nearing the 18-month mark with no end in sight. NATO nations, and in particular European states, have proven ill-prepared for the return of major mechanized conflict to the continent. Cutting-edge NATO technology is helping Ukraine, but the traditional use of low-tech massed artillery still dominates the battlefield. NATO, and especially the American military, always thinks this technology is the way to overcome mass, Kramer said. The interesting thing about this war is that the massing of troops and massing fires, all this stuff that the West said was passé, is not passé. It still very much plays a prominent role. And even if Ukraine has the best trained military, the Russians still got the numbers on them. Quantity does matter, whether soldiers on the battlefield or artillery. These low-tech pieces of combat power that we thought were going to be diminished. No, they're just as important today as they were in World War I.